Now I will probably fall intellectually in the eyes of everyone and everyone to the level of Plintus, but I suddenly like this game. Maybe because I was expecting a much worse game, knowing that games under license can be, especially under such a license, but still Fast and Furious Crossroads was not as terrible as I thought it might be. But ahead of time I won't spoil, uncover your family ties with the receding hairlines, and let's go see what's wrong and what's not wrong in the polynomate game based on the most family film series in history. The game starts with my favorite not skippable intros, which the first time still look beautiful and cinematic, but the third time they already make me switch to scrolling through Instagram, where I be much more interesting to be than in the this intro. When the game started, I could not press any button, because this is one of few modern games that does not understand what DualShock is, at a time when even Ubisoft learned not only to see it, but also to change the layout of the interface for it. And when Ubisoft is better than someone in some aspect, this is already a diagnosis. Thanks to this game I found that Vin Diesel has his own game development studio, the logo of which is by no means slashed by Tesla. The developers seem to have gone through the meme of the family, since this word welcomes us right in the main menu, and in this game itself we will hear this word more time than we would like. Launching a new game, we were greeted by a loading screen that will appear not only during the launch of the game, but also when changing locations. I will even turn a blind eye to the fact that the game lies on SSD, even if it was on hard drive. Why does it take so long to load? I can understand. The graphics cannot be directly called bad, but they also fall short on good ones. Locations here are straight corridors. Any Need for Speed with better graphics and open world loads much faster. So not only does it take long time to load, it also managed to lag on the computer, which with a griff in half was able to pull out the new Jedi. Of course the lags are not fatal and do not particularly interfere with the game, but still it's not pleasant. After loading, which lasted for ages, the gameplay started immediately without any cutscenes. This is how you should start the game. No long intros for you, go straight to the game. And then immediately I was able to feel the control of the machine, which at first seemed to me too light, a little later it seemed too toy, but after a little getting used to it, after a while even began to enjoy driving. Of course fun from the same Need for Speed, but not as terrible as in when some of Fast and Furious. When I kill the opponent, they show me beautifully in slow-mo that I kill him, but they don't give me any interesting bonuses for this, just as beautiful picture for sake of beautiful picture, which after a while will get bored directly. Even health does not replenish, by the way. Yes, the car has a health bar, because if you steal chips from Need for Speed, then only the crappiest one. A little later we had the ability to kick the car to the left or to the right, which is surprisingly reminiscent of another game involving with Diesel, in which this mechanic was first demonstrated. These are references, so references. The use of nitro in the game was assigned to the B button and the handbrake to the A button. For someone who has played at least one arcade racing game that has nitro and handbrake, this is the most fucking layout, which should be exactly the opposite. The creators of this game seem to have overplayed Payback a lot, because here too we have the ability to switch between characters, sometimes even at any time when we need it. And also not always switching between characters does make sense. Each of them has some unique ability, which one point to another can more be useful than another. Of course all this rather conditional, and it's quite possible to not switch to anyone and not to observe any particular problems, but all the time the mechanics work well.
I'm pretty sure my steering wheel's melted.
If your steering wheel melted, then your voice would not be that it's now, but something like this. By the way, we have a boss fight going on right now. Yes, there are boss battles in racing games that are not standard racers, but battles with death. And no matter how stupid it sounds, their battles are really cool. They are different from each other, the bosses need to bro down a little differently, albeit in places unscripted, and it looks pretty epic. The first cutscene started in which I saw the divine 30, or be more precise, even 24 frames per second, because this game is too graphic to draw at least 60. In the next cutscene we switch to the characters new to the series, who do not have to pay fabulous money, like the original cast, and which whom you can do whatever you like in a plot, everyone will not care, since no one in the films about them remember. Now the machine is controlled by a computer, and when the machine in this game is controlled by a computer, it began to charms, and this machine is trying with all its might to get out of clutches of this despot so that it can manage its own life. But here are the names of the cities in which we appear, they are made quite beautifully. Unlike Need for Speed, here pedestrians walk on the street. Unbound had not been released that time, so we do not take it into account. And the streets themselves along which we drive sometimes feel empty and cardboard, but sometimes something happens on them, some kind of accident, the police stand with someone, and the study of the building itself is sometimes quite good. The eyes of this person look like an indefinite amount of some prohibited substances has recently been in her body. Well, either she suffers from some kind of autism, because of which she does not move her pupils. Why did I call her a person without specifying her gender? Be patient, we'll get there. The assumption of autism, I would not put it off for now. The scene ends with a freeze frame followed by a blackout, for a reason I still haven't been able to comprehend. The reflection in the rear window has become so full of its existence that it realized that it doesn't need to load all the objects that are back there, and therefore it unloads something but doesn't load something at all. Cars in reflection left the chat altogether, but even such a reflection is still better than what's in a new Jedi.
Is that a Camaro? Is that Supra? Oh, Supra! Is that Supra? Is that Supra? I need to come up with a lot of money in 3 days.
You owe the local mob money?
This guy owed a mafia a lot of money and turned to the racers to help him with this problem. Of course, no one will arrange a race across America, but the influence of Need for Speed The Run is still visible.
Do you think I'm a criminal?
Whoa, who's a criminal?
Well, you may as well tell them.
That's why I call this creature a person without specifying her gender, because where in the modern games and without such a fool not able to draw parallels between their genitals and the name of their gender.
How many genders are there?
I don't know, I just got here.
Also in this case, this girl is so similar to a guy that maybe the characters themselves do not understand whether it's a boy or a girl and do not name her gender so as not to offend.
How do you know that you're a man?
How do I know that I'm? I guess because I got a dick.
Or she has a split personality, and when she is addressed in a plural, they simply address all her personals at once. There are many options, and they are all more logical than what actually
Back
exists.
in my day, we had Wonder Woman. Now your generation wonders if it is a woman.
Wikipedia says about her that she is non-binary person. The term non-binary person, in my understanding, means that this is one specific person in it, because bi is a split and not bi is not a split, which leads me to the conclusion that all people who don't have a split personality are non-binary persons. I congratulate you viewers, boys. You can officially go to the girls' toilet, justifying this by the fact that you are non-binary person.
I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian.
Well, if you're gonna stand any chance of winning in that import of yours, it's gonna need a tune-up.
The operator seems to be so tired of this scene that he fell asleep right in the middle of it and forgot to turn off the camera after this woman finished.
Like I said, you'd be better off with me doing the work right here.
I can handle it.
Well, where would a non-binary person be without a strong, independent woman on her side who would be dependent on bold men in a not too distant future? What is common to all strong and independent women sooner or later? Time mission. We've just told that too many collisions can ignite the fuel in the truck. I will ponder the logic of this conclusion process until the end of this video. Some of the objects on the road are marked with triangles, which in the Need for Speed indicated objects that can be brought down on purposes. Here is just rubbish lying on the ground. Why label it anyway?
If you're gonna do this, I want you to have the best shot possible. 'Cause I love you.
A woman loves a man? We got to the first street race where we were given a car right away, without giving us the opportunity to choose on our own. And at first, while I was at race, I wanted to find fault with the fact that it's no choice of cars and we always need to write what they give. But after playing a little more, I realized that there is no point in choosing here. Cars are constantly updated, they constantly give you something new, something different, and not as the same as before. Locations are also constantly changing, we are on different roads and off-road in different cities and desert, and this gives enough variety. Of course, it would be better for me if we had a certain car from the very beginning that we would pump, but in principle, since it's not a bet here either. But what is bad is the number of these races, on which there are as many as 2 things of the whole game, which it seems to me were scripted from the beginning to the very end of the race, at least partially. At first everyone pisses you off, no matter what you do, but in the end somehow everyone starts to slow down. And even if I manage to lose on the last lap, the checkpoint will take me not to the very beginning of the race, as in normal racing games, but to the last lap, where all the cars are next to each other and win in this case, in what difficult at all. And it's stupid in this particular race, in switching between characters. Yes, at times in the game it's useful, but here it's some kind of incomprehensible billet. After each lap you switch to another character, and on each lap you need to overtake them. But like I said a second ago, all circles except the last one don't make any sense at all.
The winner is the one that crosses the line on the 4th lap.
How am I able to hear what this woman is saying while all my windows are closed and I'm running a pretty loud engine while spinning? And sometimes after those fucking races from the last Fast and Furious, where Win92 was driving backwards in a burning car, all this managing to win is such a race that just a race does not look like something incomprehensible anymore. After reloading the checkpoint, I again went last, but this time the game decided not to fail and launch a cutscene. Why it was impossible to do this the first time if I don't need to reach the finish line, it's not clear.
I'm sorry. I do not recall giving you permission to speak!
A phrase that would not hurt to say at least one a non-binary person. Our car just stood on the road doing nothing, but the police decided to chase us even though they have no evidence that we are chasing here. Her hanging is fucked.
Why am I getting deja vu? That's twice now we're being followed on the same damn road!
For which I can thank the lazy developers who were too lazy to make another road. Fucking yourself, is that not linear? We can choose where we go, which will not affect anything in this game at all? Not bad. You hit just fucking incomprehensibly. No cop can find you like that at all. The model of this minibus is an S.
I think I know someone who can help.
You have contacts in the criminal underworld? Since when?
Since before. And she's not a criminal.
Yes, of course. Letty and her entire family gang are not criminals. In general, not a little bit, not even a bit of a criminal at all. The most law-obedient citizen who'd even pay taxes to anyone, I'm quite sure. Why turn on headlights during the day? The driver of that bus decided to drift a little.
Get out of the way!
Bitch, get out the way! It is not suspicious at all, you are now driving yourself off them. This is the Jaguar I pace in front of us now, which is an electric car. And the question is, what does a toy car do in a game about cool and fast cars? What's wrong with the bus driver in this city? Navigation errors can be a complete assholes at times. If you hug the enemy's car when it's standing still, he will decide to drive into a ditch despite the fact that the steering wheel and gas are things that are not connected to electronics and you cannot activate them using a computer. For 1 second the game thought that I was going the wrong place and almost failed my mission. It seems to me that someone is missing a blur here. And what is going on with them at all? I'm driving on a highway right now. You can drive here quite quickly and there are no reason to stop. The road is straight, there are no traffic jams. Why do you constantly slow down and also clutter the brake that the headlights start to flicker? Is something wrong with the car? And constantly change your lane even though this is a straight road where there is nowhere to turn. And the turn signals do not use condoms at the same time. I don't know what's going on with the lighting in the game, but when the frame is black, it's just black. No shadows, no light, no volume, at least one. Just a black fill in Microsoft Paint. In a fast car game, we are currently seeing a very long mission chasing a very slow moving truck. If I were at Barcelona authorities, I would fucking ban all these buses. It seems to me that they have gained self-awareness and purposely do some kind of garbage on the road. Okay, I admit it. Artificial intelligence is dumb not only for bus drivers.
If we're gonna rob the Tatacool, We're gonna need some rides that can't be traced.
And so you decide to steal cars from the showroom, which most likely have some kind of tracking device inside, in case someone that's how right now we decided to steal some of the cars. If a cop aims at your car, which provokes just an ugly effect of electricity, just switch to another character and you are saved. Also his health will be restored. I took out the last car of the pursuer, the heroine even said that everything is fine, but the mission still failed. Unlike Need for Speed, the local police can shoot their weapons. I find more and more things that are better in this game than in NFS. What is going wrong? The characters decided to steal a truck at night so that it would not be so pale. It was for this that they put on black light, for the whole village saw what was happening on this road. Sebastian jumped on the truck, and throughout this long chase will crawl on the driver's cap. First, why is taking so long? And secondly, why couldn't you just jump on the cockpit?
Mauricio?
Fuck your eyesight, woman. How did you see his face behind the car at a distance where you can't even see a car?
You set us up, Mauricio!
I don't think he's in the mood to talk, V.
Not in the mood to talk? He's in fucking able to talk. He's sitting in another car on the move. How are you going to talk to him?
Watch out, he's dropping spikes.
Throw spikes that, on contact with the wheels, ignite the truck. Gang members who needed to get money of the Sebastian killed Sebastian. Moreover, in such way that they weren't even able to earn on these organs.
Dominic Toretto?
Hold on. The two of you are working for Interpol? How is this even possible?
Girl, you seem to have forgotten which movie series you are in. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back in time in Fast and Furious 20 to prevent the Kennedy assassination.
We're in the middle of a Moroccan desert. Not many five-star accommodations around.
Wait, we're in Morocco?
Learn a new language for you in a couple of hours or days.
You're also gonna have to learn that ancient, beautiful language called Arabic.
Win98 seems to think that since he could learn Groot in a week, then it would be same with any other language. But anyway, they really managed to learn it.
Hanuta completa.
You'll be driving that.
Seriously? It's garbage.
Doesn't get any more anonymous than a van.
Seriously, van is the most inconspicuous vehicle. As for me, when a van parked around my house, it causes a more lot suspicion than a regular car. At first, those stones on the road alerted me a little, and I want to ask a question: how did they appear here and why no one returned? At first, these stones on the road alerted me a little, and I wanted to ask a question: how did they appear here and why no one removed them? But having driven a little further, I noticed that some kind of Hulk was throwing them there from the depths of desert, judging by their trajectories, because on their own from such a flat mountain they could hardly flew like this. We need to break down this van so we can drive to this place needed instead. Firstly, no one told these girls that it would be necessary to do this. How did they know this? And secondly, when this van breaks down, the driver in it will remain alive. Will he not able to call the base and report what happened to him and some woman is coming to them?
Good to see a sister in charge for once.
Yes, in African country, a black man occupies some important position. Usually the slow-mo starts and the camera moves to a beautiful angle when something beautiful happens on capture. What is happening here and why should I look back now?
Get back!
The quietest train in history only started making sounds when it was next to us. How did Letty and the second woman get here if it was only the two of us who came here? Oh, by the way, an old Porsche 911 is a very bad choice for off-road driving. But this Porsche seems to be pretty smart, being able to press the gas on its own and keep the steering wheel straight while the driver is not on the driver's seat. I've never tried standing in front of the train in a car, I probably never will, but seeing what the train did to a car made me understand why Harry and Ron were so desperate to get away from him to get him to not touch.
His name is Emil Elias Ormstrad.
He used to run rackets all over Europe back in the 60s.
If he was transported missiles in 60s, then he was at least 20 years old. And that is now, after 60 years, he must be at least 80. This does not look like 80-year-old grandfather.
When do we leave?
You leave with Letty in an hour. I'll meet up with you all later.
Wait, where are you gonna be?
looking for a race.
Who's talking about what, and Vin Hebo is about his. He has very good taste in music. There are quite a lot of it in the game, and it is very good. He also seems to be very fond of Need for Speed games, as now we are driving around the city very similar to the one in Need for Speed 2015. In this city from Need for Speed we met Roman, who in the films is a rather funny dude, and you can sometimes hear good jokes from him, while here he just shines his pretty face, and even if he tried to joke, then he is not very good at it. The doors of this Aston Martin do not open at all the way you did it now. The Roman apparently does not know this either.
We're here.
Wait, what are you doing?
What she did will never be shown to us. No matter how badly I crashed my car on the road, which by the way does not look so bad, in the cutscene it will be as good as new.
Are you up to the task, Mr. Pierce?
Does fast food cure a hangover?
No, it doesn't. I checked. The hangover remained unchanged, only now, in addition to a score head, I also had desire to shit. Decided not to bring boobs physics into this game.
I've heard the rumors of what you do with cars nowadays.
You haven't seen how he launches them into space with a driver in swimming suit. Time to get used to it.
Ladies! Gentlemen! And everyone in between!
She didn't bother to say all 389 genders, but simply named them something in between. Oh, what a non-progressive black woman. And this is not the end of the virtue, since I begin a racing game with a woman at the start, simply could not help but check if it's possible to knock her down. And unlike the Need for Speed, where I went through that woman, here she turned out to be sister of Luke Cage, and with her impenetrable black body, she stopped the car and didn't even budge. Animation and visuals while using Nitro are not very beautiful. I'll go back for a moment to this them who never cease to annoy me.
Where'd you find Cam anyway?
You know, I'm realizing now. I think they found me.
If this person is neither male or female, that is not defined, and she is only one in her body, why not use the pronoun it, which is more suitable for such beings, and it wouldn't cause such dissonance in the sense that one person is addressed in the plural.
What about their parents?
Parents are probably still in awe of what kind of transformer their daughter tuned into.
My name is Lindsay Graham, and I am a cat. Meow meow.
Scattered all over the locations are these springboards that serve for nothing, just to jump nice. I don't know if the designers intended it that way or not, but the face of Vin Gas look like he is so overwhelmed with all these Interpol top secret missions of yours, with millions and billions of broken cars, that now he is so fucked up that he even can grow hair back.
Maybe you've been undercover so long you've forgotten who you are.
And who's that?
Roman Pierce, who drives with the best crew in the world.
That's right, I am. Man, I got this!
That's how easily it's to convince Roman to do that what he doesn't want to do. Just call him name pathetic. Judging by the physics of this ball, it is a rubber ball. But when he comes into contact with the machines, he still breaks them like plastic toys.
Man, we start World War III.
Yes, judging by your films, in a couple of parts you will be able to easily hack time, revive Hitler and start the Second World War again.
We know all about your family.
Fuck you, only I have the right to use this word in my films. They are now trying to convince us that they can kill one of the main characters of the series in some kind of spin-off game that 90% of the film's fans will not even play and will not know why Roman died.
Now look who's turned pro.
Yes, I believe you. For some reason it seems to me that Vin Canister still has not moved away from filming Guardians of the Galaxy, and in this game he continued to play the tree even better than he played there. In order to cut the wheels of the truck with my thorns, I need to drive over them several times like this, because if the tire is punctured only once, it will not burst. Who and how fired this car so hard that it flew out of frame somewhere? This truck borrowed physics from San Andreas, considering how civilians' car explode just touching it.
Never catch him.
I'm not chasing him. He's running from me.
Which in turn means that you are chasing him. I'll probably go again on a new lecture on physics, because it seems that I somehow taught it wrong. In the gameplay the truck is on its feet. A second later, in the cutscene, it's already on its side. It seems to me, or did somewhere lose the piece of sense with flipping. Also, the doors that we broke off with the harpoon have grown back.
What is that in her hand?
Nothing. Her hands were not yet visible when you said the phrase. How did you understand with your X-ray vision that she was holding something there? detonator. Who the fuck is holding Molotov cocktail like that? Not yet lit. Of course, I don't see this bus in full size now, but it seems to me, judging by the movements of it, these springboards jump in, flew somewhere to space, spun around there, and returned back when the camera moved away.
Roman, get down!
Why didn't Roman explode after that? It's because they put on him the longest exploding bonk among all that exist in the planet, in the time before the detonation of which their heroes will scatter with each other here, mess with the bad guys for a very long time, come to the base and only there defuse and take this off the vest.
Cam, get back to base. We need you.
What do you need?
Bomb diffuser.
This kind of delay does the detonator have.
Whoa! This thing just skipped forward.
The more hits it takes, the less time we have.
They also know how to defuse a bomb.
I wonder how many millionaires get blown to pieces from a bomb strapped to their chest. I mean, my forehead is, it's kinda big, but it's not that big, right? What am I saying?
How does it work? With every second, Roman's phrases get dumber and dumber. All the same, film scripts also do not shine with intelligence, but even though the phrases were stupid, they at least had some, sometimes funny humor. Right there, it's just stupid phrases.
I've seen some back seats in my time, but I've never thought I'd die in one.
You are sitting in the front seat.
Where are you going?
Shopping.
Fuck, can you even respond with an unveiled line that should look good in a trailer?
Sebastian! Oh, the street racer. Some sort of boyfriend, I presume. I didn't even know his name, he was so insignificant.
Excuse me, but I completely agree with the villain of this. This game is not too long, but by this moment I completely forgot that some kind of Sebastian once existed there and was happened to him there. By the way, about the duration of the game. In negative reviews of it, I often saw complaint that it was too short. And it's really short, I went through it about 4 or 5 hours. But in such game, it's really necessary. This is not some kind of Need for Speed where you go through a lot of races, upgrade your car, buy new ones and upgrade them. It's more like a Call of Duty where you are led by the hand through the beautiful stage scenes without stopping in a routine. And as for me, for such a story-oriented game, 5 hours of gameplay with the head of is enough. Another thing that they still ask full price for it, I agree with that, yes, it's not worth that kind of money. But this game, unlike Call of Duty, is not protected by Denuvo, so in the absence of big discount, or to be more precise, in the absence of it all in the store, anyone can play it with a 100 discount. So all the claims regarding to this frequency will pride category are no longer revealed today.
Oh my god, no! Vienna! Vienna!
Why not plagiarize Metal Gear Solid in a racing game?
I heard your boyfriend crying, weeping in the wreckage.
You're lying.
Of course he's fucking lying. Sebastian exploded in a truck. How could he even hear anything while in other car? What it is exploding and why it is exploding? Who pressed pause and why does this pause only apply to boulders stuck in the air?
We need you to keep an eye on Kai.
Wait. So I'm gonna be stuck here babysitting Junior while you ladies are off saving the world? Guess I'm your daddy now.
It is called feminism, and this is called BDSM gay porn. And why don't you just give him to the police so that they put him behind bars, so that you don't have to waste time sitting guarding him? I counted 16 shots fired from latest pistol without reloading. She has a good capacity, I mean her pistol. Yes, and a pistol usually has at least some kind of recoil. Or is this strong woman so strong that she can break back? In this boss fight we are fighting an amphibious vehicle that can travel both on water and on land. And taking into account the fact that we can only travel on land, I have a question. Why was he not on the water all the time, or even why didn't he swim across this water to the neighborhood shore so that we would finally lose him? Our next boss fight is with the rocket that we knocked over, but it continued to horizontally. And this fight will be so long that it seems to me that this runway occupies 38 American states and a little bit of Mexico.
What is he doing up there?
He's gonna force stage 2 separation.
By using an electromagnetic pulse.
I'm the only one who thinks they use such words, so that fans of the series who do not know such words think that the script in this game is smarter what it really is. At the end of the boss fight we have to rescue Win the carburetor from this rocket before it crashes gently in the water, where he could just swim inshore on its own. Why did we save him again? And so I saved him, the final cutscene went on, after which instead of credits they told me that I had failed the mission. Interesting timing for this.
You don't want to go back to Barcelona.
Hell no, I've missed this crazy country. I miss Miami.
No wonder, because only in this country people take your mental illness seriously with the inability to determine their own gender.
My king identifies as a queen.
Fuck it. We got some family and law enforcement.
Family law enforcement. One day this name will show off on the corner of the next part of the Fast and Furious series instead of the name of the Fast and Furious, in which, in my opinion, would look much more appropriate.
Now you've got a new family.
The game ended on a word family, who would have thought, and that's what I like to say about it. A lot of stupid action, problems with physics, logic, pseudo-intellectual dialogues, entire poses and grandfather with a cross, beautiful cars, explosions and music. That is absolutely the same as the films on which this game is based. It is short, relaxed, and you can get pleasure from it. Yes, it is visually outdated, and even in this form it could not be fully optimized, but for the price that asking in torrent trackers, it deserves to exist. And go through it once if you like the films of the series for how stupid and ridiculous they are, it is still worth it. I got a little pleasure from it, and even wanted to watch the last movie, so it did her job, and more is not required of it. And what is required is like and repost this video and subscribe to the channel. And lastly, do not forget that racers do not drive. The racers drive, but not to drive.